Chery Australia needs bigger guns to compete on this very saturated SUV market of 2023. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dimitri, and today we will talk about Chery Australia and Chery's propositions to the global market. Specifically, I'm very interested in Chery Jetour Traveller model that has been revealed in Shanghai Motor Show this year, 2023, in April. Unfortunately, I'm not in Shanghai. Unfortunately, I wasn't in Shanghai. Maybe next year, which is why we are going to be once again relying on the footage provided by other channels. In this particular case, all credit for the original content shown in the background, other than obviously my own footage of the websites, etc., is going to the China Auto Show channel, with our big thanks to you, my friends. Using a very basic analogy, very basic boxing analogy. If you're a sports fan, in boxing you never just jab with one jab. You cannot win fights with just jabbing. You cannot even make an entry into a proper fight, if you're a boxer and you understand what I'm talking about, with just jabbing. It is a classic, commonly known, slightly crude analogy of 1-2. You never go just with jab. Jab is just to create distance. I'm gonna wrap up with this analogy here, not to bore you, but I hope you see where I'm going with this. Chery revealed Omoda 5. Omoda 5 is a very small SUV. It's not even a small SUV, it's a very small SUV, not from the outside, but from the inside. You can see my early review of Omoda 5, and another one, a closer look, is still coming. I was just prioritizing other content, translating other videos of disassembly of Tank 500 and other cars. If you haven't seen them on my channel, you should take a look. Because, why should you? Because here we're talking about Chery Jetour in a second, and my supposition that Chery needs that 1-2 as opposed to just Omoda 5, Omoda 5, Omoda 5. They need to urgently tell us that they're even carrying the second punch of something bigger. Something bigger. And lots of mass media kind of articles, which I took a look at a few of them. They are out of date, they're inaccurate, they're just rehashing the same media kind of stuff that they were given, like a few lines here and there, right? We need to see some form of roadmap, Chery, even if it's just indicative, how, like, you know, gaming channels, how other kind of things in the world, how they reveal what might happen later in the year. So you could indicatively say to us, Chery Tiggo 7, Chery Tiggo 8, that is speculated as well to follow a Omoda 5 release, that you schedule them for, I don't know, September, speculating here, yeah? And Jetour scheduled currently for November, yeah? That would make us excited. It would generate excitement. It would attract attention to the brand that you hopefully deserve. And so far, from my very limited exposure from attending the launch of Omoda 5, I have very positive, actually, I hope, relationship with Chery. I do believe that some elements of the construction of Omoda 5 specifically are a bit cheaper, such as plastic, are a bit cheaper than of the rivals within the same price category, but this is just honest feedback. And you know what you're buying as a customer then. You know that you're getting a much richer package, you know that you're getting a much richer feature set for roughly comparable price to the rivals, to MG, to Hubble, yeah? Now, in this particular case, we are looking at absolutely a very beautiful, very beautiful Land Rover 90 ripoff. The new Land Rover 90 is Defender, Land Rover 90 Defender, is absolutely exorbitantly expensive for majority of us, and certainly is not a value for money car, Land Rover Defender. However, a Chinese rival that is packed with modern technology, priced more for day-to-day Australians like you and I, it is going to attract a ton of attention. Just like I've been hoping for to see finally Tank 300, GWM Tank 300. Just like I am paying attention to GWM Tank 500, which would be both out of my price category and, in all honesty, compared to this more off-roady look of Tank 300 or Chery Jetour, I would always go for these two cars, Tank 300 or Chery Jetour, before I would even consider Tank 500, me personally. But that is just me revealing my opinion. It doesn't mean that one car is better than the other. They're just for different crowd, right? But in this particular case, I think that this is an absolute, and I love how inexcusably rip-offy it is of a very cool, boxy look of off-roading of the Land Rover Defender. Yeah, this car, according to the outlets again that were given some specifications, I wasn't, but I'm relying on them. This car is going to be supposedly even larger in a 7-seater, I assume, version, not in a 5-seater version. It's going to be larger than Toyota Land Cruiser 300. I personally don't know if I would have needed such a massive car, but apparently the options that are going to be available whenever they're available, wherever they're available on Jetour, are going to include a 5-seater and a 7-seater. I would go for a 5-seater personally. Apparently it also is going to have variety of engines. A turbo petrol engine of 1.6 liters, which seems too small to me, which seems like it would be underpowered, especially if a vehicle is relatively large, so I would not go for it. But a 2-liter turbo petrol engine probably is going to be okay. And then apparently there is also an option of plug-in hybrid of 1.5 petrol plus electric motor installed. In this case, they absolutely need bigger guns. They absolutely need to introduce something that's going to be like, wow. Because if Chery doesn't do it, then it means that Tank 300, as soon as the supply of the vehicles is there, because pre-orders are already in, I'm sure, for GWM, but Tank is not on the roads. Something is stopping them, GWM. And it is GWM's problem. What do you do as a commercial enterprise that competes with another commercial enterprise for a niche in the market? What do? You capitalize on a delay of your opponent. Because let's not pretend that all these people are kumbaya friends. They all are after our money, after my money. So who wants it? Chery? GWM? Who wants my money? Whoever wants my money needs to create a product that is preferably cheaper, or at the very least fairly priced. And they need to bring this product to me quickly, so that I spend the money on that and say, yes, thank you Chery, or thank you Howell, thank you GWM. So GWM is giving us a slightly higher priced Tank 300 indicated on their website, a slightly higher price than I would like to pay. Plus, the payload of the vehicle is too low. Everyone is saying it in my comments. I can see what you're saying and I agree with you, my friends. And that kind of stuff, right? But this thing, it looks tremendous. It looks tremendous. I would say optically, it looks more interesting than Tank 300. That's what I would say over here. It's much more interesting. And if Chery also comes in and undercuts GWM and creates a cheaper version, we are looking at this, and apparently this Jetour Traveller is going on sale in China, starting from about 30,000 Australian dollars in China, mind you. Yep. And finishing, the range finishes at about 44,000 Australian dollars in China. Okay, so let's say that Australian import taxes, whatever, let's say in Australia it would cost 10,000 on top of that. That's probably realistic to assume, yeah? So then they could enter the market with a $40,000 gorgeous looking off-roader that is a rip-off of Land Rover Defender. Would I buy into it? Yes, absolutely. And am I more likely to go for this Jetour if they come in before and it looks like this and it's not poverty still, even in the lowest version, it still is probably going to be as good as a Moda 5 at least, right? So if it comes here at about 40,000 as opposed to 55 that Tank wants, guess who I'm going to pay my money to? Provided the build quality is good, provided that everything that I can poke and take a look at is good. And speaking of that, of course this is a very short footage from the China Auto Show channel, which we're once again very grateful for here. But what am I seeing? I'm seeing this is probably what the gentleman is showing us here. This is probably a top of the range model, I'm thinking, because it does look fairly packed with features and fairly rich, let's call it, even though these are cloth seats. The plastic looks familiar and similar, at least elements of plastic look similar to a Moda 5, which in my opinion was a bit cheap, but that is speculative, we're just looking on the screen here, yeah? There is some ribbed plastic, a little bit more resilient, rubbery plastic looks like it on the top parts of the doors, on the top panels, which is a good thing. I do like this gear shifter that the gentleman is showing us. I do like the familiar Omoda 5 absolute success that everyone talks about, absolute success of those wireless charging panels for your phones in the middle. I think that's absolute success for Chery's design, and they decided to carry it through into Jetour Traveller from Omoda 5, similar model, whatever. So that's fantastic, yeah. Everything else, so obviously very much LCD kind of dash panels and all of that stuff to be expected from the modern vehicles coming from China. It's much cheaper to do than to make and to integrate these electronic elements of the controls than the physical, than analog kind of things. And again, plastic with Chery and plastic, again, I've only seen Omoda 5, but I've taken a look at it. It was creaky and it was not, it looked like it will all get scratched and it will not be particularly long lasting to me, in all honesty. And I have now 2 other Chinese vehicles in the family which are lasting very, very well, I would say, very, very well. That's the little that we know. But again, simple message, Chery, we need a roadmap, we need reassurance that these vehicles are coming and not just 3 lines that are meaningless coming from those channels that are paid to just rebroadcast the same boring news, yeah? We need something better. We need something from you, from Chery head office. Download the PDF, something like that, that tells us about your intended roadmap at the very least, which you can always adjust. It's not an issue. Every media outlet, every other thing does it. But it takes people like me, it takes people like your potential customers on a bit of a journey. It carries us with you, okay? And that is what I think. And other than that, we absolutely need a bigger, larger SUV than Chery Omoda 5, which I think Tiggo is obviously very ripe for this kind of introduction, and it's been rumored long enough, so we do need probably Chery Tiggo. But this would address immediately current opportunity for you to carry that second punch and land it before GWM gets their act together. Even just a reveal of this in Australia, even just your intent to release this into Australia would land very well as great news, because people with money right now sitting there thinking, okay, I'm not ready yet to pre-order Tank 300, but I am waiting for it to be for a test drive and then I will put my money down. Because that's how I think. That's how I think, right? But if you come in and say, Jetour is coming into Australia, definitely coming probably around November. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold on to my money and say, no, I'm not going to buy Tank right now because this beauty is coming. I'm going to wait. And that's when I'm going to drop my money. That's how a lot of people will think. So you need to understand the mentality, not just your plan and stick to it in a blind way. You're not in a tunnel. You need to look for feedback. You need to look for the indications from the market. And that is what I think Chery is missing out on. And as opposed to the popular belief, I'm not a shill for any of the brands. I just am encouraging competition. I want cheaper, better cars for Australians while the prices are exorbitantly skyrocketing everywhere else. The cost of living is very high. More established brands such as Toyota are obnoxious in terms of their pricing and ridiculous delivery timelines that people still buy into. So I think that this is an awesome opportunity for something like Chery to come in and steal the show, so to speak. And for GWM to wake up and also move on with release of Tank 300 into the market and whatever else they're planning to do. Anyway, these are my thoughts today, my friends. A little bit ranty, but hopefully you enjoyed it. We don't have to agree as long as we remain mutually respectful. Please let me know in the comments down below, what do you think? Do you like, first of all, Chery Jetour? Do you agree that it looks kinda, especially if it's priced competitively or cheaper? Do you think it looks better than Tank 300? Let's call it for what it is. I do. That's what I think. But tell me what you think. And would Chery, in your opinion, benefit from introducing a second vehicle, second punch, so to speak, with bigger guns on our market than Chery Omoda 5? Let me know. I think that absolutely a brand needs a second vehicle, urgently. That's what I think. Thank you very much for watching. As always, appreciate your likes, appreciate your comments. Always love to talk to anyone who is not a troll, and please subscribe for more from me. Videos are coming to you at the rate of at least one video per week, which I think works well for my channel as a cadence. Thanks again, and goodbye for now.